Hello everyone, this is Sonia Singh. I am a tarot, angel, and oracle card reader, and this video is about The Power of Surrender cards by Judith Orloff. I first saw these cards on Instagram and I totally loved and resonated with the messages that they have. And I had not heard a lot about this deck before. So the moment I saw these, I was like, I need these cards. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to show you a couple of cards and talk a little bit about this deck, share my opinions and views. And if you like them, you can purchase them as well. So, talking about the box, this comes from H Lifestyles. I believe this is part of Hay House, though I don't know the difference between having Hay House written on the package and H Lifestyles. So, this is the back of the card, and this cost me approximately 900 rupees. So it was a little more than 15.99, I believe, to be shipped to India. So comes in a nice sturdy box. They will last you if you don't have a tarot bag or a pouch to store your cards. So this is the card, and I've already removed the cards as well because I'm filming this on my phone and I knew I was going to struggle a little bit with opening the box. Okay, now this deck does not come with a guidebook. And the reason is totally justified, and I'll tell you why shortly. It comes with this little pamphlet-like thing. So this contains some basic information about the cards, how to use the cards, and Judith really explains things very well. She gets straight to the point, and though I have been using tarot, oracle, angel cards for a very long time now, I did go through this little pamphlet, leaflet, whatever this is, and it really made me work with this deck a little differently. For one, I just take the message that comes from this deck without questioning, without really, doing a lot of thinking, because Judith very clearly says here in this section where it's written, absorb the card's message. Read the card slowly, allow the message to sink in. You want to tune into and feel the card's meaning rather than think it. Cherish the message you receive even when it is challenging. If you notice resistance to a certain card, don't discount its message. It is useful to examine your emotional triggers that are stopping you from accepting that card's guidance. So it's put across in a really nice way. And the back of this leaflet has information about Judith, who is a New York Times bestseller author, creator of this deck, and she's appeared in various shows. Okay, so that's about the leaflet. Now the card themselves. Quite honestly, I'm not very happy with the card stock because they did not live up to the expectation that I had with this deck, especially with H Lifestyles. Now, the reason why I say that is because the cover of the card, the top cover of the card, is very fragile, and I even received one card in a damaged condition. I mean, part of that covering was coming off. And though I could have returned this deck, I did not want to do that because it took almost 3 weeks for me to receive this deck here in India, and to return it, to get a refund and to place an order again would take a really long time. And honestly, I don't even care about the packaging and the cardstock quality because the message is what counts. So I'm going to show you what I mean as we go through some of the cards. So this is the card back. It's got a very nice heavenly feel to it. I see this type of image in some of the decks that have to do with mediumships and connecting with heaven, that sort of stuff. So it's got a nice card back. And the card messages. So these cards are about surrendering. We always talk about releasing, we always talk about the power of surrender, but sometimes we don't even know what we want to surrender. And that's where this card comes in, and it gives you very specific information on what you can release your resistance to. So I really like the theme, and there are 52 cards. So there's a whole lot of things that Judith has put into this deck. For instance, here you have the card that says surrender your ego. And it also comes with a few sentences, 2 or 3 sentences. For instance, it's written here, cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. So I think this information is enough. You don't really need a guidebook and paragraphs of messages to read through, because this is self-explanatory, right? So this is how all the cards are. Here you have surrender your need to always be right. So now I'm going to show you some of the cards in this deck. Surrender the drama. I like this message. Okay, let's see. Surrender to prayer. Each card talks about surrendering something, and it all makes so much sense, and these cards are lovely. Surrender your attachment to results. A very important reminder when you're working with the law of attraction or any form of magic, rituals. It's important to let go of the results. Let go of the lust for results, Surrender your fear of intimacy. I also love this card. It came up for a client recently, and it also came up for a friend, and I could really relate to how she was having, she wanted to manifest love, but then she was also somewhere holding fears about finding love, finding the right person, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's nice to have a reminder like this. Surrender to non-action. This is a nice image. Surrender to your full power. I think this was my first card in this, the first card I drew for myself when I first got this deck. Surrender defensiveness. Aren't these messages lovely? Surrender to the magic of who you are. So these were a couple of cards, and let me see if I can get a hold of the card a few cards that I was talking about. Anyway. Surrender the idea you can fix someone. Such an important reminder, right? So many of us earth angels, light workers, we always want to fix someone. We always want to be of service to others, and we end up taking too much responsibility for others. So this is a good reminder. Surrender to divine timing. I really love this. Now, here's an example of the card stock. It came like this, and it doesn't bother me anymore because I love the messages and I'm not really worried about how the cards feel, but I'm just letting you know that this was my experience with this deck. Okay, looks like I'm not finding that mysterious, here it is. I'm sorry, I'm making a mess here, but okay. So this is the card that I was talking about. This is how it came in the box. I was totally turned off by that, but when I started reading through all these messages, I was like, nah, I don't want to return them. I'd rather work with this deck. Surrender to receiving support and love. And here is another example. Check this out. I mean, it was hanging out and I just tore it off because it was very annoying while shuffling. But yeah, the card, I don't know if it's the card quality or just the back cover, but surrender, denial. Many of my clients, many of the people I've worked with have received this card. This one kept popping up a couple of times. That's a really nice message. Well, the card stock is not bad. It's good, but the print, the cover is not that great. So, a few examples. Surrender resentments. I'm going to show you a few more and I'll stop after that. Surrender negative thinking. Surrender to trust. Surrender to miracles. So, those are a few cards from this deck. I totally love this deck and love its messages, and what I do is I draw a card each day after I meditate and before I start doing my spiritual work, my tarot readings. I first draw a card for myself for that day and I place it on my altar if I'm not working with this deck for clients that day, or I just let that message sink in, and I also practically apply the message. That's very important, and Judith writes about it. She says it's not just important to read the message and say, oh yeah, like I get this, but start applying the meaning of that message. Start applying that message to your life and see how your day unfolds. So these are the Power of Surrender cards by Judith Orloff. I would give it a 3 out of 5, and that's just because of the card stock. Otherwise, this is a fantastic deck. This is definitely one of my favorite decks and one of those decks that I continuously work with and I'm going to be working with because it has some really amazing messages that you can apply in your real life. So especially during new moon time when you're thinking about releasing something and inviting something new, or during full moon time, these cards are especially helpful. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope this video helped you get a good look or get a little bit of understanding about this deck. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be making more of these videos. Lots of love to you all.